A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O,
From the ABCs to pomp and circumstance, it all happens so quickly, and we parents are there for our children. Hi, this is Sharon Marshall Lockett, your host on Home Sweet Homework. We've got a great program planned for you today. A little while ago, I was privileged to visit China with a friend who was Chinese. Not only did she know how to show me her wonderful country, but she knew how to dicker. So I always wanted her on my side when I went shopping. When I would want something and would be trying to bargain for it, and the price was too high, she would sneak up behind me and whisper into my ear, "Remember the power of the walkaway." Well, there is power in the walkaway. There's power in a lot of things, and that power is something we need to give to our children. My guest today is Shirley Zink. Shirley is the founder and director of the SAC Foundation. That stands for Simple Acts of Care and Kindness. One of the most frequently asked questions when I get your emails is, how do we handle bullying in the schools? You'll want to hear what Shirley has to say. She has an amazing story. Welcome, Shirley.
Well, thank you. It's good to talk with you, Sharon.
Yes, tell us a little bit about SAC.
The SAC Foundation stands for Simple Acts of Care and Kindness, and we started back in 1998. I was working with Dr. Jim Cock at the Crystal Cathedral and developed the International Conference on Care and Kindness.
And then you moved that into schools, right?
Yes, I did. The conference was basically for adults, and I wanted it to include children because I felt like if you're going to start a tsunami of care and kindness in the world, you need to start with the kids.
Absolutely.
So that didn't seem to be something that was on the agenda for that particular conference, so we branched out with the SAC Foundation and started developing character education programs for the school. And that was quite an endeavor. We had psychiatrists and psychologists and principals and all kinds of people coming to help in that endeavor.
Sounds wonderful. And now you've been at it long enough. Are you seeing results? Can you tell us a story?
We started the World Kindness Youth Conference, and it has developed into a huge event. Right now we're doing it in the Corona-Norco Unified School District, but would like to spread it to other districts. The children come, we're bringing in fourth graders. And so right now, this last year, we had close to 2,400 fourth graders.
Wow.
And then we have the assistance of about 100 high school students in volunteering to help.
Wonderful. Now, why did you choose fourth grade?
We chose fourth grade because that's an age when the bullying is really starting to take hold, and they're old enough to comprehend what we want them to learn.
That's interesting to me because fourth grade is also when in the school curriculum we switch what we're doing with them and we quit doing the developmental things and begin drilling in, you've got to read better, you've got to do math. So academics actually starts seriously at about fourth grade. So you picked a great time period for a lot of reasons.
Well, so when we bring the kids in, it's a field trip for them. And so what they do is they come and we have a big plenary situation. We had over 1,000 kids each day sitting in the plex. We start out with a singer who comes all the way from Michigan, Bev Michelson. It's just fabulous. She's written the sax song and a lot of songs for our foundation. And she gets them kind of moving and grooving with the song. And then we introduced Grandma Rose, Matt Luke. Matt Luke is a former Angel Dodger football and baseball player.
You have a good spokesperson.
He is, and when he was a child, he was born with a birth defect, with a birthmark on his face. And so he was bullied and teased and just given a horrible time. So he speaks to the kids, showing videos and everything of when he was a child all the way up through his baseball career, and talks to them about overcoming adversity, and gives them 4 different things that they can do to have a good life and not worry about those things, how to be successful. And then we have Grandma Rose, who is a former school counselor, and she's a children's author, written a wonderful book called Simon's Hook. She talks on that and actually has some play acting going on with it. And the children never forget her lessons, because we get letters from the children, and we've had hundreds and hundreds of letters, and they will recount exactly what she said.
Wow, can you recap it for us?
Well, she has some specific things that she teaches the kids about being bullied. First of all, she teaches them that bullies are trying to, like fishing, they're trying to set the hook. And if you don't bite, they go on to somebody else who will bite. And so she talks to them about how to not bite the hook. So
very good concept. And that's so true.
Acting out different things that kids do to each other. And so she teaches them to walk away, just to walk away, or make a joke. You know, a kid says, "Oh, you're ugly." And you might say, "Well, you should have seen me before I put on my makeup," you know. It diffuses it totally. Do little, just kind of, okay. Agree with them. She teaches them to agree with them. Say, "Yeah, you know, you're right. This isn't a good day for me."
In college, we used to laugh and say, "I'm having an ugly day today. Just leave me alone."
And then, so she has distract. Distract is where someone says something to you that's mean, and you go, "Oh, did you see that? Look over there." And you point somewhere else, and it diffuses it. So she teaches the kids 5 things: do little, agree, distract, laugh or make a joke, or walk away. And they remember those things.
Those are very powerful. One that I add when I work with students is, "I'll be the bad guy anytime you need one." That Mrs. Lockett. And I walk away. I say, I'm proud to bear the title of the bad guy anytime you need an excuse. Shirley, we're talking to parents. So what can you tell parents? A couple of just capsule thoughts specifically to parents if they find their children being bullied.
Well, first of all, I think a lot of times children are being bullied and we don't know it.
That's so true.
You have to know what to look for. My son was bullied, and I didn't know that was going on. And he ran home from school one day and climbed over the back fence instead of coming around the front. Found out later it was because some kids were chasing him, giving him a hard time.
Wow.
If your child isn't eating lunch, like they're really hungry, starving when they got home, somebody may have taken their lunch.
Oh, very important tips.
If they've lost their jacket, and you're upset because they lost their jacket, it might be somebody stole it.
Wow.
There are things to look into, plus the fact that they will sometimes share with you what's going on.
Sometimes the parents are the last to know, so watching those signs are so important. One of the things that I teach is that any major change in behavior is a red flag, so start looking deeper.
Exactly.
If anything changes,
that's right.
That's a sign.
Their appetite changes, where they were having a voracious appetite and now they're not. That's a sign of something.
That is. Shirley, I know that you have a personal story. Can you share that?
Yes, my son was a gifted child in elementary school, and was, how do I say this? He was kind of a loner. I realize now part of that had to do with some of the kids who were picking on him. So he just liked to do things on his own. He'd go fishing after school, and that's pretty solitary. And I just thought this was normal. This is just who he was. But by the time he was in high school, we were seeing things that I did not recognize as anything particular, because I'd never had a child before. I wasn't raised with other children, so I just assumed this was natural teenage behavior. his grades started going down. Pretty soon he saw no reason to even be in high school. He wanted to quit. He wanted to drop out. He started stealing things.
Wow.
Which is another sign of depression that I did not recognize.
That's interesting. I had never connected stealing to childhood depression, but it's true.
Stealing, running away.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he did not get involved in drugs and alcohol, but those are definitely self-medicating techniques to take care of some of the issues that are bothering the child. And so apparently, which we did not we took him to counselors because of the behavior, but even the counselor didn't recognize the depression. So he got involved with a very unhealthy relationship when he was just out of high school. And it was so unhealthy that he just couldn't handle the rejection and the ups and the downs, and then finally the rejection of the relationship, and he took his life.
Oh my goodness, what a terrible tragedy, and how tough for any parent to go through. Bless you for sharing it.
Well, it's one of the worst things that can happen. I mean,
obviously.
I think that's one of the greatest fears of a parent.
Yeah.
So his depression actually did start in elementary school. When I look back and I see the signs that I didn't see at the time, that's why I like to go out and speak to teenagers. And I just did. I just spoke to all the teachers over at Norco High School. Some of the things that you need to be looking for, because they need to be identified, and you need to be aware. And I wasn't. Obviously, the counselor we had for him wasn't either, which is kind of shocking in a way.
One of the first lines of awareness are so often their peers, their friends.
Right, exactly.
And when they're loners, you don't have that gift to help you through.
That is true. That is absolutely true.
Well, Shirley, so simple acts of care and kindness is in a way your way to pay it forward, to use his life to count for helping another.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because if we can teach these fourth graders how to be better with each other and how to protect themselves emotionally, which is a lot what Grandma Rose is talking about, then these things may not hit them as hard. And if we can change the culture. Now, what we're trying to do is, and we're being pretty successful at it, in Corona Norco, we started with fourth graders a couple of years ago, and then we took the next group of fourth graders, and then the next. Well, now we're starting to see that we have all the upper graders in the school.
Right. Oh, that's powerful.
Have been affected by it, and the principals and the teachers are reporting that the environment of the school is changing.
That is so vital, so important.
Unfortunately, we haven't been able to take all of the fourth graders each year. Last year, the schools that came, all of their fourth graders came. We can really start to see even more of an impact. And hopefully this year, if we can get the funding we need, we're going to try to have all of the fourth graders for the entire district.
Oh, that would be so wonderful.
Which is like 4,000 of them.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know.
It's a lot of fourth graders. A lot of wiggly little fourth graders.
The kids are great. Oh, perfectly behaved.
Aren't they wonderful?
It's just maneuvering them all.
Yes, and making sure they're well fed and all of those things are taken care of. Yeah.
And the rest of the day is spent with all kinds of activities that teach them kindness to themselves, to others, to animal kingdom. They get to handle big snakes and reptiles and bugs.
Wow.
And one of my favorite is our sensitivity course, where they get in a wheelchair and have to maneuver an obstacle course.
Whoa.
Some other things.
Important.
And then when they're finished, then they have to tell us, what did you learn from this? And if they give the right answer, then they get a bracelet that says, I get it.
Oh, cute. Very cute. They work hard for those. Now, in today's schools, there's the bullying. There have been children with broken arms, broken noses from heavy bullying in the schools. And then there is cyberbullying that is growing by leaps and bounds. Are you up on cyberbullying?
I'm very aware of it. It's probably one of the worst. People think in terms of bullying as physical violence, but it's not. I don't think that's the worst. I think you can recoup from a broken bone easier than a broken spirit.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's what's happening. It doesn't even have to be cyberbullying. When I talk to the kids, I talk to them about some of these insidious things, particularly girls do. They'll say, I'm having a party, but you can't come.
Oh,
They'll put their foot up at somebody who wants to sit down at the table. Just little subtle things. Anything that is designed to hurt the other person. And so cyberbullying takes it to a new level where you can't get your hands on it as a school administrator or sometimes not even as a parent. And that makes it just so much worse.
Oh, what specifically can parents be doing? And, there are parents who think it would be an invasion of privacy if I looked at my child's computer or if I opened a drawer in their room.
Well, if there's any indication, if you have even, parents have an instinct.
Yeah.
And if there is anything that would give you just the slightest amount of pause, then do it. Because lives can be saved.
I was just going to say, I would much rather invade their privacy than to bury a child.
Absolutely.
And so, parents, if something inside you says something isn't right, definitely start looking and absolutely monitor that computer and monitor the phone calls.
Absolutely. Whatever method you use, you have to be an aware parent and really interactive with the kids. Because it helps if you develop a good relationship with your child first. You are a listening parent. You're one that they feel they can come and talk to you. However, having said that, there's things that kids will not come and share with their parents, no matter what kind of a great relationship you have. So you still have to be vigilant, even if you think you have the best relationship in the world.
It's interesting because if I take that personally, I remember as a child when I said something to my parents and they would act shocked and say, "Oh, you wouldn't do that, would you?" I would think, well, that's a topic we don't talk about anymore. And I made up my mind just from personal experience that I would never act shocked at anything my son said, that I would always calmly listen and chat with him and try to talk him through it. But it's much easier said than done, as you would know.
Right.
One thing that I would say just from listening to you is that everything you teach children to do, parents can do. The walking away, the skills to not escalate a fight where they're concerned, and at the same time to not run away when they need to be in there, and to know their friends.
Well, the parent does need to set a good example.
If you find out that your child has been a victim of bullying at school, what does a parent do? Where do you go?
Definitely contact the school.
And by contact the school, is that the principal? Is that the teacher?
Depending on where the bullying is taking place, if it's in the classroom, I would definitely contact the teacher first. And if things don't seem to improve, then obviously you always go up the ladder from there.
Right. And I was just going to say there is a hierarchy, and you literally start with the point of contact and go up the ladder and don't hesitate to. Well, what you do is so powerful, and I know my listeners will want you to come to their school. What you're doing is with Corona Norco Unified, and as I understand, it's a closed conference. But your SAC Foundation will go to other school districts. Am I right?
If we can work together with the school district, yes. We've been able, with the support of the community and in-kind donations, to make it a free event for the school, which is...
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, in this economy, school districts are not wanting to put money out for anything.
That is very true.
But we have been able to work with the police, the fire, lots of different organizations donate to have this in their community.
I know one of the statements that I've heard is that we today communicate more often and more effectively in so many ways than we ever have in the past, but we also are more lonely than we've ever been. If someone is interested in bringing you out to work with their school, and you're right, this needs to be in every school throughout the nation. We need to be preventing violence. We need to be saving lives. So if they want to get a hold of you, what's the process they would go through?
Well, we have a website. It's www.simpleacts.org.
Simpleacts.org.
Take the podcast and the website. Talk to some of the powers that be at your school district.
Shirley, this has been just rich listening to you. I'm sorry for what you had to go through, but thank you for being brave enough to share your story and to pay it forward. Any quick last pieces of advice to the parents listening to this?
Only to listen to your children. I know that my son said to me when he was in 6th grade, he was upset about something, and he said, I should just kill myself. Everybody'd be happier. And instead of hearing his pain, I said what I think a lot of parents, oh, no, you don't mean that. And I tried to cheer him up. I needed to hear him. I needed to hear what he was saying. I needed to know that children feel as much as we as adults feel. And they just have limited experience to know that it's not going to go away. To them, it could be the end of the world.
Very wonderful advice. Thank you so very much.
Okay, thank you, Sharon.
We have talked about such tough issues today. I would be remiss if I didn't give you just a little bit of data at the tail end of this broadcast. No one is immune to the threat of violence. 30% of children in schools today are either bullies or are being bullied, and in some cases both, on both ends of the scale. So it's a real problem. It's a huge problem. It's a problem we need to face. Very sadly, we also think it will never happen to us and our children would never commit suicide, but suicide is the third leading cause of death for children ages 15 through 24. And there's a high rate of suicide for younger children. We need to know it exists. We need to be brave enough to love our children through it. That would be a whole show, a whole issue in itself, but I want to give you a couple of things to think about. First of all, if your children express thoughts of suicide, don't close your ears to them and don't try to argue them out of it. Rather, sit down and listen to them and assure them of how much you love them. If they say, I'm going to take my life, don't let them out of your sight and call the police. They will be picked up, they will be hospitalized for 3 days, but they will be alive. Do take threats seriously. The data is from the National Institute of Mental Health, and they have a hotline number for suicide prevention. It is 1-800-273-TALK. That's 273-8255 for the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. There are a number of 24-hour lines in your area. In Southern California, the number I always give out is 714-NEW HOPE, NEWHOPE, or 714-NEW-TEEN, NEWTEEN, for a manned line 24 hours a day for someone who needs a listening ear, needs some quick advice, needs hope. There is also a website, newhopenow.org, where you and your children can go online and find someone that will help you talk through, think through, cry through whatever it is that's hurting your heart. Well, wasn't Shirley's talk rich and wasn't she brave? I want to just recap a couple of things that she said, and one of the things that so struck me that I want to just join on the bandwagon is we need to create a tsunami of care and kindness. And to do that, we have to start with our children. Well, here's the answer to one of your questions that you've been waiting for. The question actually in this case is more of a statement that comes from a handicapped child. He said to me, "I love it when we get to do group work in the classes, because when I'm sitting around a table with friends where I'm talking, they don't see my braces and they don't see my wheelchair, and they don't treat me like I'm stupid." As I said, that's more a story than a question, but it behooves us as parents to help our children deal with things, anything that makes them different. Shirley talked about Matt Luke, a former Angel Dodger born with a birthmark on his face, and how the kids teased him. When our children wear glasses, the kids tease them and call them Four Eyes. Things that hurt their heart hurt at such a deep level. So as parents, we need to constantly be reinforcing how much we love our children, how much they mean to us, how it hurts our hearts when they're hurt, and then empowering them with skills like the walk away to deal with people who are unkind to them and to manage their emotions. Things like tough it out hurt, they don't help. And actually things like you should hurt, they don't help. I had a friend who went through a training where he learned to listen and care and ask questions. He tried that on his teenage daughter, and he said it was like a miracle. Usually I tell her what to do and she gets mad at me, and this time I didn't give her any advice. I sat and listened. I had to bite my lip 2 or 3 times. And when we finished, it was absolutely beautiful, and she told me how much I had helped her. I don't know how I helped her. I just listened. So my advice to you today is spend a lot of time just listening and loving your children. When their heart hurts, take it seriously and be the one who says to them always, "I care." Of course, our quotable quote has to be from the infamous Grandma Rose. She says, "You will find that the only thing that will really matter in your life is the love you have for other people and the love they have for you. Money, career, anything else in life is useless without love." Give your children roots. Teach them to fly, and give them wings. This is Sharon Marshall Lockett, HomesweetHomework.com. Thank you for joining us.